Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse 5 is one of the most prevalent anti-war books of recent times. Released during the height of the Vietnam War, Vonnegut's book rose in popularity thanks to a unique form of narration and the message it carries, prompting a belief that was heavily against the grain at the time. The book describes the harsh memories of being a veteran, experiencing the Dresden bombing firsthand, though not through the lens of Kurt Vonnegut himself, but Billy Pilgrim, a character who throughout the story shows the experiences Vonnegut faced through the fragments of his traumatized memory. Vonnegut describes Billy as a lanky man over 6 feet in height, with a torso that Vonnegut describes as resembling a box of kitchen matches. His image lacks a resemblance to the rugged steel-eyed soldier traditionally depicted in films and novels as heroic and manly, which in return also glorifies the war to partake in. The publication of this book did not come easy. Vonnegut spent around 2 decades writing since the concept had come to the public. With that, it's safe to assume that writing the book cost Vonnegut great mental hardship, something which is clearly reflected upon our protagonist Billy Pilgrim, leading him to experience a non-linear set of events when recalling his past through his memories. Much like a broken memory, the shackles of war are not easily broken. To manage such a burden, a way in which our protagonist Billy Pilgrim, and by consequence, Vonnegut himself copes with these effects is through the repetition of certain phrases, one in particular which helped alleviate the burden of death. Traumatic experiences take on many forms, but very few are as strange as Billy Pilgrim's. In one of his fragmented memories, he recalls an abduction, extraterrestrial life coming to Earth and taking him for seemingly no purpose, to an extent, that is. We are introduced to the Tralfamadorians, an intelligent species that perceives life in an orthodox yet simple manner. The Tralfamadorians believe that death is not a final disappearance, but simply one moment among countless others in a life that always exists, all at once. To them, a person is never truly gone, because somewhere along the timeline of their existence, they are still laughing, still breathing, still alive. From this world comes their quiet, almost indifferent quote, "So it goes." Billy carries this phrase with him, not as a statement of apathy, but as a fragile tool for survival, a way to steady himself against the constant ricochet of memory and loss. And so, throughout the story, whenever death surfaces, whether monumental or mundane, the phrase returns, "So it goes," a small attempt to soften the sharp edges of his fractured timeline. At the beginning of Chapter 1, Vonnegut talks about how difficult it is for him to write about the war and the bombing of Dresden. The repetition of this simple line was his own way of approaching the unspeakable, a coping mechanism shaped by real destruction witnessed in the war. Needless to say, the saying was not the only thing that Vonnegut wrote into the story to recall the war. The 3 Musketeers make multiple appearances in the book. Whether it's the candy bar or the group of heroes, they both play a vital role in Vonnegut's writing. However, the way in which the candy and the group are used is different. The group known as the 3 Musketeers is first brought up by Ronald Weary, as a way for him to feel like a hero. This shows how some soldiers desperately cling onto fantasies of glory, but unfortunately for Weary, his dreams ends like so many others in the battlefield, dead. The candy bar becomes something different to Billy, a harmless object transformed into a trigger, pulling memories of Weary and the futility of his imagined heroism. Vonnegut uses these moments to show how the past lingers in unexpected places, how veterans can be transported by the smallest details, caught between ordinary life and the echo of a war they never fully escaped. The overall theme and motifs that Vonnegut used in his story help bring out the experience of being a veteran and how difficult it is for him to talk about it. The trauma that was inflicted on millions of soldiers who survived the war. Unfortunately for them, they are not stuck in time, so they cannot help outside their memories the way Billy Pilgrim can. Instead, they carry the past wherever they go, quietly folding it into the corners of their lives. Vonnegut uses this contrast to reveal a truth that lingers beneath the novel's science fiction surface, that trauma, once earned, does not fade with the turning of a page. It follows, it interrupts, and it reshapes the people who live with it. Through faces like So It Goes, through symbolic symbols as small as a candy bar, and through Billy's fractured sense of time, Vonnegut illustrates what it means to navigate life after war. A life where memory refuses to behave, and where understanding one's own past becomes its own quiet battle. And perhaps that is why the book endures. It captures something that's uniquely human. The struggle to accept what cannot be changed, and the slow, painful work of learning how to live after surviving something that should have ended you. So it goes.